of the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining, the Frimpong Watson report notes that this same Donald Ensua quickly formed his latest company, Heritage Imperial Limited, which has equally been at the heart of extensive destruction of the Krobo and Apaprama Forest Reserve in the Amansia area, operating with a prospecting license under heavy military protection. And here let me commend Multimedia's Erasmus Asaridonko for the extensive work he has done in that area and for exposing the destruction of the forest reserves I've mentioned in the area, sometimes at the peril of his life and that of his crew. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, we are talking here about a company and its owner with a history of engaging in illegal mining under prospecting. On 29th November 2016, Mr. Tony Oben, then Chief Executive Officer of the Minerals Commission, during the NDC administration, wrote to C&J Alaska that the company was seriously engaged in illegal mining on its prospecting license. On 30th January 2017, Mr. Oben again wrote to C&J Alaska for undertaking mining activities illegally without obtaining all the requisite permits and approvals. Again, on 2nd October 2017, Honorable John Peter Amayu, the first MPP Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, wrote to C&J Alaska regarding the Gabo concession and directed that in view of the fact that the C&J Alaska does not have a valid mining operating permit and that the ministry has not yet ratified their mining lease, they were directed not to carry out any mining operations in the concession until their mining lease has been ratified. Ladies and gentlemen, the mining activities of this company have resulted in the destruction of many forest reserves in Ghana and the diversion of the course of the Ofin River. Yet this is a company the president's nephew, Gabi Ochredakon, sought to shield and defend. What Gabi Ochredakon sought to do was essentially to use his influence in the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government to defend a company which has been responsible for the destruction of the Diaso, Krobo, and Aprapama forest reserves. Mr. Ochredako's impunity must be called out and condemned by every well-meaning Ghanaian. Here is a company destroying our environment, yet enjoys protection from the military, and no less a person than the nephew of President Akufo-Addo. And here let me say shame to all the media personalities who are shamelessly defending the impunity of Gabi Ochredakon. What is even more condemnable but unsurprising is the fact that Ochredako's behavior was said to have been reported to the chief corruption clearing agent, President Akufo-Addo. Yet, he failed to rein his errant and obstructionist nephew in. But ladies and gentlemen, how could the mother serpent of corruption rein in Gabi Ochredakon when his actions and inactions clearly show that he is himself an enabler, promoter, and beneficiary of galamsey? Now we move to the seat highlights. Ladies and gentlemen, the Frimpong-Boateng report also fingered very senior and leading figures within the Akufo-Addo Bawumia MPP government for allegedly acting in ways that essentially compromised the fight and rather promoted the activities of people who were engaged in illegal mining. Former senior minister and now presidential advisor Honorable Yawasapo Mampo, for instance, is cited by the report to have allegedly used his influence to defend and whitewash an alleged money laundering activity by one Seth Mante, a journalist who was arrested for laundering money from the sale of seized excavators. And the journalist is the one you have on the screen, Setmante. This, the journalist did for and on behalf of one John Ovoriata, the then regional security coordinator for the central region, and Horace Ekwewisi, former vice chairman of the NPP in the central region, who was indicted by Frimpong Watson for the 500 missing excavators. In similar vein, Mr. S.K. Gyamfi, a leading member of the New Patriotic Party and then board chairman of the Minerals Commission, was also cited for allegedly sabotaging the work of the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining relative to the implementation of a successful community mining program. It is sad to know, our distinguished friends from the media, that the Frimpong Watson Galamsey report identifies the Eastern Region President Akufo-Addo's yard as the headquarters of almost intractable and uncontrollable illegal mining activities. At the center of these activities are several New Patriotic Party bigwigs and government functionaries, according to Frimpong Watson. Notable among whom is Captain Koda of the Presidential Security Detail. You can see him on the screen. Captain Koda is reported to have demanded the release of excavators being used by illegal miners at Enyinam who discharge mining residue directly into the Green River. The said illegal mining sites allegedly belong to the MP for Asenia Kroso Manson, Honorable George Kwame Agwaje, according to the report. You can also see the Honorable Member of Parliament on the screen. Finally, that is highlight number 8. Ladies and gentlemen, perhaps the height of impunity was when an NPP youth organizer for Chedi was said to have been excavating for gold in the backyard garden of President Akufo-Addo's residence in Chedi. Yet, President Akufo-Addo got no wind of this from national security operatives who guard his house or his elaborate security detail. As I have already indicated, the only thing that can explain this scandalous revelation is that President Akufo-Addo is himself complicit in the illegal Galamsey menace. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen of the media, if there was any doubt that the so-called fight against illegal mining by the Akufo-Addo Bawumia MPP government has been a sham, then this is the clearest evidence yet again. The Frimpong Watson report confirms one truth, that illegal mining activities have been a free-for-all enterprise for many in the Akufo-Addo Bawumia MPP administration. From ministers, presidential staffers, and other associates in governments, to national, regional, constituency, and unit committee executives of the New Patriotic Party, their agents, personal assistants, relatives, and financiers. Many are neck deep and are either engaged in or promoting illegal mining with reckless abandon. The details of the Professor Frimpong Watson reports are simply scandalous, scary, sordid, pervasive, and rotten to the core. We now know how the 500 seized excavators were sold by people entrusted to take care of those seized equipment. And today we are asking, if they thought we have forgotten, we have not forgotten, we are asking them, where are the over 500 missing excavators? Ladies and gentlemen, there is now ample evidence about how military and police officers and other men in uniform who were funded by the states and taxed to help fight Galamsey were rather used to protect illegal mining sites belonging to government and NPP officials and their foreign collaborators. It is sad to know that Ghana today has a commander-in-chief who sends soldiers into harm's way for parochial gain. Major Mohammed's death and the misuse of Ghanaian soldiers by this Galamsey government is another reason for a public inquiry into the Frimpong Boateng Galamsey report. The Frimpong Boateng Galamsey report has indeed shocked the conscience of the nation, and no amount of half-witted and half-hearted explanations from the presidency or government can whitewash this great infamy. President Akufo-Addo's complicity in this whole scandal has been further magnified by the fact that this stinking report has been on his desk since 2021, 2 years ago. Can you believe it? Yet he has failed to act on scene. We are of the view that the only way to establish the truth and get to the bottom of the issues contained in the Professor Frimpong Boateng Galamsey report is for Parliament to institute a publicly televised and bipartisan inquiry into this report, which essentially is an obituary of President Akufo-Addo's monumentally failed fight against illegal mining. The special prosecutor on his part must act with alacrity by probing the Frimpong Boateng Galamsey reports and prosecute all government officials, NPP functionaries, and persons who have perpetrated serious crimes against the state as contained in the reports. The Ghanaian people deserve this probe because millions of taxpayers' money has gone down the drain in the name of fighting illegal mining. Now that it has been confirmed that all the so-called fights, Operation Vanguard, Galam Stop, we are buying drones to fight Galamsey, I am putting my presidency on the line. Now that we have confirmed that everything was a charade, our nation stands united, crying for justice. Anything short of a bipartisan inquiry into this matter will be fiercely resisted. Because people who, for their own greed and selfishness, destroy water bodies, knowing very well that water is life. People who, for their own selfishness and greed, destroy our vegetation, knowing that when the last tree dies, the last man dies, are murderers who must not be shielded. Any country that has no firm grip over the protection of its forests, nature reserves, wetlands, and biodiversity is one that is doomed to extinction. It is sad to say that Ghana is fast approaching this scary reality under the Akufo-Addo NPP administration, who are busy destroying all our vegetative buffers and water bodies to satisfy their greed and selfishness. As a further step to back our demands, the NDC shall formally, in the coming days, submit a request to both the Clerk of Parliament and the Office of the Special Prosecutor to initiate the necessary investigations into the gold mafia documentary as it relates to Ghana and the Galamsey report of Professor Frimpong Boateng. And before I conclude, you can see a snapshot of the faces of Galamsey kingpins in Ghana, according to Professor Frimpong Boateng's Galamsey reports. They are all there, drawing inspiration for the two people in the middle of the circle, President Akufo-Addo and Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia. Friends from the media, it is our fervent hope and firm belief that these very serious issues will not be swept under the carpet, and that the Special Prosecutor and Parliament will rise to the occasion in order to stop the continuous desecration of our presidency and Environment by President Akufo-Addo, his Vice Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, and the ruling New Patriotic Party. Thank you very much for your attention, ladies and gentlemen.